Today kita ada newcomer, Aisyah.
Bermula dari perkenalan biasa.
Awak percaya tak kisah Bian dan Pak Rom?
Imajinasi awak.
Ya Allah, Aish! Berani dia datang sini pegang Ash. Usah-usah boyfriend I. Bila awak jadi orang yang terbiar, awak akan cari saya juga.
Namun, cinta tak semestinya di alam nyata.
Express.
American Cup.
Aish cakap dengan siapa tu?
Ash dan Aish, Isnin hingga Kamis, 10 malam di Astro dan Astro Go.
Hi and good evening. I'm Mia and this is AWANI Tonight. The Public Accounts Committee to probe flood mitigation management project in Kuala Lumpur. And what are the implications of Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan? That's coming up. The Public Accounts Committee will initiate proceedings to probe the flood mitigation management project in Kuala Lumpur, found to have faced many shortcomings. PAC Chairman Wong Kah-Woh said for a start, the Federal Territories Ministry and Kuala Lumpur City Hall DBKL will be called up to assist in the matter. This is one of several proceedings the PAC will hold following the presentation of the 2021 Auditor General's Report Series 1 in Parliament. The DBKL flood mitigation measures are a 10-year plan covering 2010 to 2020, with a total of 415 million ringgit allocated for the projects. However, the Auditor General's report revealed that 3 projects amounting to 27.68 million ringgit did not comply with the procurement procedures. The report also stated that DBKL had not fully implemented the proposed short-term flood mitigation measures, with only 11.1% of 18 projects completed, leaving the problem of flash floods in the city unresolved. The managing of school construction projects in the country was revealed to be inefficient and ineffective. This is according to the Auditor General's Report 2021, involving audit samples of 19 new schools in 2016 to 2021 in Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, Malacca, and Negeri Sembilan. The first series of the report revealed that the reason was due to weaknesses at the planning, pre-construction, and implementation stages of the projects. The report named the Education Ministry, consultants, and contractors responsible. It added that poor coordination among state governments, local authorities and utility companies, as well as lack in preparedness of project sites that contribute to delay in implementation of projects as more reasons. The construction projects aim to accommodate surplus of students and make one-session schools available by building new schools. Meanwhile, the audit was done to evaluate management of school construction projects and to determine if they were properly planned and implemented to achieve these objectives. The government has decided to expand the definition of vulnerable groups to cover 12 groups, including the homeless, stateless individuals, refugees, infectious disease patients, and the poor. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said, by expanding the definition, the welfare and well-being of the more affected individuals could be looked into. Sabri said the matter was agreed upon at the first meeting of the Special Cabinet Committee for Protecting Vulnerable Groups, which was chaired by him. He added that membership of the committee would also be expanded to include NGO representatives involved in the coordination of protection for vulnerable groups. The Prime Minister said the meeting also agreed to formulate a blueprint and a committee to look into issues involving the homeless. He said currently, there was no specific legislation or authority to supervise the management of the homeless. Meanwhile, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, is reviewing allegations that 3 former UMNO MPs, comprising a minister and 2 deputy ministers, were involved in misappropriation of funds. In a parliamentary written reply, Law Minister Datuk Seri Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar said MACC was looking into the issue, adding that he could not disclose more details. Bukit Gelugor MP Ram Kapal Singh asked whether investigation papers were opened against Economic Affairs Minister Datuk Sri Mustafa Muhammad, Deputy Law Minister Datuk Mas Ermiati Samsudin, and Deputy Health Minister Datuk Dr. Nur Azmi Ghazali. This is following reports lodged with MACC on alleged misappropriation of funds or party allocations worth tens of millions of ringgit. In June, UMNO President Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi testified in court that 3 UMNO MPs quit the party and joined Bersatu after GE14 out of the fear that they would be investigated by MACC. Almost 50% of children between the age of 5 and 11 have received at least 1 dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. This involves a total of 1.76 million children. Deputy Health Minister Datuk Dr. Nur Azmi Ghazali told Parliament today that of the total 1.5 million, or 42.3% of the population, have completed their vaccination, while 1,030 children in the moderate to severe immunocompromised category within the same age range already received their 3rd dose. He, however, stressed that the percentage was still low compared to the number of vaccination facilities provided for that group. Azmi said to date, there are still 926 private premises that provide vaccination facilities and 14 off-site vaccination centres. We'll go for a quick break. Stay tuned.
COVID-19 memperlihatkan kepada kita betapa pantasnya adaptasi teknologi di kalangan PKS kita. Niaga AWANI dan Unified Business akan menyelami perjalanan kebangkitan semula PKS kita melalui segmen Jiwa SME setiap Selasa dan Khamis untuk inspirasi anda.
Transformasikan perniagaan dengan Unified Business, rakan digital pilihan anda. Hubungi kami sekarang dan jimat sehingga 50%. Jom Unified Business.
Welcome back. U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says her delegation came to Taiwan in friendship and in peace for the region after the visit enraged Beijing and set off a diplomatic firestorm. She also played down controversy around her visit, saying Beijing had not responded similarly when other U.S. legislators visit earlier this year.
And I just hope that it's really clear that while China has stood in the way of Taiwan participating and going to certain meetings, that they understand that they will not stand in the way of people coming to Taiwan. It's a show of friendship, of support, but also a source of learning about how we can work together better in collaboration. So, I think that they made a big fuss because I'm speaker, I guess. I don't know if that was a reason or an excuse, because they didn't say anything when the men came.
In April, 6 top U.S. Democrats and Republican lawmakers made a surprise visit to Taiwan. But Pelosi is the highest-ranking American official to visit the island in 25 years, despite strong warnings from China. Pelosi assured Taiwan of America's continued support during a meeting with the island's president, Tsai Ing-wen. She also emphasized America's commitment to protecting democracy in Taiwan and to ensuring that the island has freedom with security. Under the Taiwan Relations Act in 1979, Washington is obliged to help the island defend itself. However, the U.S. House Speaker also emphasized that the U.S. supports the status quo in the Taiwan Straits and does not want anything to happen to Taiwan by force. Tsai, meanwhile, expressed her gratitude to Pelosi for unwavering support for Taiwan. Pelosi also met with Taiwanese activists and business figures this afternoon before flying out to South Korea to continue her Asia tour. China has launched a series of military operations around Taiwan in response to Pelosi's visit. China's military said it would hold live fire drills in 6 zones surrounding Taiwan beginning Thursday in response to Pelosi's visit. It also warned ships and aircraft against entering those areas. Taiwan said that the drills violated United Nations rules and amounted to a blockade of its air and sea. Taiwan is now negotiating with neighboring Japan and the Philippines to find alternative aviation routes to avoid the live drills. China also announced a series of trade restrictions on Taiwan, including a ban on sand exports and the import of fruit and fish from Taiwan. China's military response to Pelosi's visit raises fears of an escalation. Analyst Dr. Zokri Idris weighs in on the possible scenarios and if the military drills have the potential to become a full-scale crisis.
First, we will be looking at a higher securitization in the South China Sea. Now, as we speak right now, the Chinese fleet has already surrounded Taiwan on the military exercises, and it has never been so heightened before. And we are looking at how the north, south, east and west of Taiwan has been surrounded by the Chinese fleet. Now, on the second implication, we are also expecting to see a higher tone of Chinese containment on Taiwan, either from the military point of view, as I've mentioned before, as well as from the economic point of view. We are seeing at the moment how Taiwan is bidding to enter into mega trade agreement like the CPTPP, but that is already been outdated by China. And we are looking more into how a serious aggression and limitations put by China towards Taiwan as a result of this visit. So I think these are the two implications. If you ask me whether there is a risk of war or military actions in the South China Sea, we could not discount that kind of risk because war is inevitable will happen when there is a risk. But I would say at the moment, China is still a rational state, not to act aggressively and not to act irrationally, especially dealing with Taiwan.
In other news, ASEAN will be forced to reconsider a peace plan agreed with Myanmar if the country's military rulers conduct more executions of prisoners. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen, who is the chair of ASEAN, was speaking at the start of a meeting of the group's foreign ministers. Hun Sen said ASEAN had been pushing for Myanmar to adhere to a 5-point peace consensus it agreed to last year. But ASEAN's unity had been challenged by the political crisis and security implications in Myanmar, which has spiraled into an economic and humanitarian crisis. The Prime Minister said that while the 5-point consensus had not advanced to everyone's wishes, there had been some progress, including providing humanitarian aid. But he went on to say the current situation had changed dramatically following the junta's execution of 4 activists last week. The U.S. has urged its citizens to be vigilant against possible anti-American violence abroad, following the killing of al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri. The State Department said his death could prompt al-Qaeda supporters or other linked terror groups to target U.S. facilities and personnel. In a worldwide caution update, the department said current information suggests that terrorist organizations continue to plan terrorist attacks against U.S. interests in multiple regions, including suicide operations, assassinations, kidnapping, hijackings, and bombings. Zawahiri, who helped mastermind the 9/11 attacks, was killed by a U.S. drone in Kabul, Afghanistan on Sunday. The 71-year-old Egyptian doctor took over al-Qaeda after the death of Osama bin Laden in 2011. Tonight on Consider This, we speak to our guests about the impact of the colliding crisis of COVID, conflict, climate, and cost of living has had on the progress towards a sustainable world, and what needs to be done to get the SDG 2030 back on track. That's all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Thank you for watching. My name is Soraya Mia, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yang berani on demand.